Well, Dobbo finishes 2-1 here at Colchester in the Vertu Trophy. Just give us your assessment of the performance.
I thought Colchester showed great respect for the competition tonight in terms of the side that they put out. It's a very different game tonight, as I told the boys before the game it would be to the last round and the Fulham under 21 side. So we knew it was going to be a quicker pace, a lot more physical, and it was a really good test. You know, we've got young players who are coming in that have been on loan, that have played youth team football, and the pace of that is nothing like this. So you know, this competition is there to help us blood those young players, to bring them up to the speed that they need to get to be ready for League 2 football. And also we've got players coming back from injury that need to get themselves up to the speed for our first team games come the weekend. So it was a tough night for them. You know, they've had to suffer a little bit, but when you look at what we're trying to do with this competition and develop players, would you rather roll over a young Colchester side quite comfortably, give yourself a pat on the back and think that everything's fine, or do you want them to come in and suffer a little bit against first team ready players who play at a good pace and learn what it takes to play League 2 football on a regular basis?
You used the word respect, and they did later in the second half. I mean, they brought a lot of their first teamers to overcome. We've had 4 or 5, I think 6 teenagers on the pitch. It just showed the quality they're up against.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're good players, you know, and they're game ready because they're playing regular first team football. So to come up against our youngsters, you know, it was a real test for those young boys. But we can't hide them from that. We have to expose them. They have to understand what it's going to take to play first team football. And you know, you do it tonight in a competition where there's no real damage, you know, to the club. We obviously want to pick up points in the league, and that's the most important thing. But as we said from the very start, you know, this is a journey, and getting those boys to that point isn't going to happen immediately. We need to do it over time. Joe's done a great job with the youth team. We've got good players that we feel could have good careers in the game, but it's step by step, and they're not at the top step just yet.
You mentioned the league. It's Cheltenham on Saturday at Priestfield. How much are you looking forward to getting back at home in the league?
Yeah, look, absolutely. Love playing at Priestfield. We need the fans behind us. We've been hit with injuries all of a sudden, so you know, we're a little bit short, which obviously affected our choice tonight and the players that played this evening. So yeah, we'll have a look at what damage has been done tonight on the injury front, and obviously the GPS data that allows us to play certain players for a certain amount of minutes to minimise the risk. So once we've got all that information, we'll have a look at what we've got Saturday. But you know, we're short on numbers at the moment. We're short on good players, you know, really good players who would be in our first 11, and that's a bit of a loss for us. But we need to get through it, and we need everybody pulling in the same direction. So I ask the fans on Saturday, get behind us and help us through this period.
I can't let you go without asking about Gareth. Have you managed to speak to him since Saturday?
Yes, I spoke to him, and we had a few text messages as well, backwards and forwards. So he's sore, as you would expect. You know, he's feeling a little bit dizzy with the medication and what have you. You know, he's going to have a rough time, and he's got to get through this week. But he's okay. You know, he was upbeat as he always is. Happy the operation was a success, and he's just got to get through this period. So yeah, he's okay. He's obviously keeping in touch with what's going on, but you know, obviously not involved in what we did tonight. This was the first one where it was too much for him. So we'll see if we communicate before the weekend. But I would imagine that possibly he won't be involved going into the weekend's games. He's got too much to think about for himself at the moment.
Dob, I appreciate it. Thank you. Matt, all yours.
Just a quick one on Seb Barber-Holden, who was named on the team sheet. We got at 6:30 but didn't take part. What's the issue with him?
Yeah, felt something just behind his knee in the warm-up, so we took him out as a precaution. That's not something that we want to risk with Seb. So, you know, obviously delighted to get him back around the fold, and we weren't going to risk anything silly. So, again, we'll have a look at how that is tomorrow, see how it settles down, and keep our fingers crossed with it.
It's purely that rather than anything more serious at this stage. You just wanted to make sure you didn't risk any further injury.
Yeah. The immediate reaction was that we're not going to take that risk. So, you know, what he's done, I don't know at this moment in time. We'll find out, and I think, you know, we'll have the evening to allow it to settle down, and we'll assess tomorrow. But fingers crossed, as I say, it's nothing too serious, and we'll have him with us hopefully for the weekend.
Felt like you had the best of the first half. Certainly you had the goal, didn't you? What did you make of the first 45?
Yeah, we created chances. But we counter-attacked reasonably well. Our defensive shape was tested. But I thought that the exposure to that was good. With the older heads in there, they rotated the defensive positions, and Folksy filled in for us at times. And there's just that little bit of experience about having the likes of Max Clark on the pitch and Hutz and people like that we probably lose when they come off. And that's stuff that the boys will get, the younger boys will get in time and with plenty of games. But that experience counts for a lot, and you can see the difference. When we take those players off and they put their first team players on, and all of a sudden you see the gulf.
We talked about the academy graduates are on the pitch, but you had Travis Akamea as well. He's not played a lot of first team football, and Lenny Serino as well. I mean, that is a very young finishing squad, isn't it?
Yep, it is. But as I say, some of them boys are around the fringes now. They're young players, but they're good young players. And as I just said to them, you need to play these games to get yourself ready for what could be a first team start. At the weekend. We, as I said just a moment ago, we're low on numbers at the moment. So these boys are the ones that have to step up. And there's no point in them being half ready and us throwing them in and they're not quite up to speed. They need to get there. Shad's one that he needs games to get himself to the level that we know he's capable of. So they have to come in and put the minutes in. There's no substitute for that. The training, whilst they train really well, and they do train well at a good intensity, there's no substitute for playing matches. So good for them tonight, good for the exposure that they've got, plenty of learning to come from it. Disappointing result obviously to lose it late on, but I think once we let the dust settle, we'll look back at this and be able to go through a lot of good stuff with the young players in terms of their learning and video clips and that kind of thing.
I was going to ask, is it sometimes hard looking at these games because you want positive results? Obviously you're all looking for those wins, but also trying to look big picture at the same time.
Yeah. Look, you want to win every game, but sometimes you have to have a little bit of perspective about what the game's going to bring for you. We want to have a run in this competition. We want to get through. These games are useful for us, for our fringe players. So we want to get through to the next round, and we want more of these games. I think it's great exposure, as I've spoken about. But I looked at their team sheet tonight and thought, okay, that's stronger than I expected them to be. As I said, you kind of say to yourself, do you want this type of game? Do you want almost a League Two proper football game, or do you want a group of kids? And you can pat yourself on the back because you beat Fulham's 21s, but how many of Fulham's under 21s would play in League Two on a regular basis with this sort of physicality and the intensity of the games? This is good for our boys. They need it. They need to understand. They need to learn about the levels, and they need to know where they're just short if they are short. We obviously send them out on loan to understand and cope with the tougher side of the game. They get knocked about a little bit in non-league football, but in League Two there's good technique, there's good quality alongside good physical specimens, and they've got to learn to become the whole package.
Just quickly, it looked like Logan Dobson might have made himself a hero again right near the end. Did he hit the outside of the post? Yeah,
I thought the keeper saved it from where I was, but because it was given as a goal kick, so he might have done. It's a good chance, I think. I haven't spoken to him about it. I was quite surprised when it was given as a goal kick, because I thought it was either a block or maybe a block on the line. We've had a couple of good chances in the first half as well, so maybe we could have added to our scoreline. But it was always going to be tough, having a one-goal lead to defend late on with the changes that we were making, and sort of square pegs in round holes, and young players playing out of position for us. Obviously Lenny's sending off doesn't help either, so we've got a kid from the youth team who's a good player, Louis, playing at left back all of a sudden, and whilst it's not fair on him, they're the things that you need to do to grind out a win. And that's one of the things we've said. The learning there is that we're 1-0 up on 80 odd minutes. I don't know what it was. First goal comes down the side too easy and crosses in. It's far too easy from back to front. And whether that's tired players at that stage, I don't know. Just a lack of legs at that stage of the game. But at the end of a game, can you see it out? Can you be gritty and learn to win a game? Or get a draw out of a game when you're under pressure? These things only come through exposure and these type of games.
Thank you.
How was Lenny at the end? Obviously tough, isn't it, when you're that young and you get sent off?
Yeah, he's apologised, and I said to him, you don't need to apologise. You need to learn from the experience. And he said straight away, he said, maybe when I'm on a booking, I shouldn't have gone in and made the tackle. He's a lively player I'm up against. And I said, well, there you go. I said, that's a learning. But I'm not disappointed with you because you show a bit of grit and determination, and I like your spirit. I said, so I'm not disappointed. I just want you to learn a little bit about when and where and the circumstances of the game. It's one for him to think, and hopefully he learns from it and it doesn't happen when it's in a game that could cost us, a league game maybe later in the season.
Because he impressed, didn't he, off the bench the other day, and he got an assist today, so he's doing a lot of things right, isn't he?
Yeah. He's improving the defensive side of his game, which I'm really happy about. We know his quality going forward. We know he's got good pace. We like him. I like his spirit. But as a left-sided player, or certainly as a left back, he needs to be exposed against players with the pace that he was up against today. These are players, Edwards, for example, that is he gives top players in this league a difficult time with his pace. So for Lenny to go 1v1 up against him was great for Lenny. I think he's going to learn a lot from today's game, and he's getting closer and closer all the time.
When you named your team, we were sort of scratching our heads wondering how it's going to all pan out. Max Clark did defensive midfield as well and captaining. And how do you think he got on there?
Yeah, well, Clarkie's one that we know he can play midfield. He did it at Hull, and actually the people we've spoken to at Hull were waxing lyrical about him as a central midfielder. So, we're not wanting to risk Ethan, Johnny and Robbie this evening. It just was worth having a look at Clarkie in there to see if we ever needed it in the future, is that something that we could call upon. So Clarkie's a top pro. We were hoping to take him off a little bit earlier, and we didn't because of the circumstances, but he just gets on with it. And the other day when I spoke to him about the weekend, and because of for tactical reasons we left him out, nothing more than that, and he said to me straight away, I said, I'm not sure about Tuesday night yet, I want to give Lenny a game. And he went, if you need me, I'll play central midfield. That's the type of person he is. So nothing but good things to say about Clarkie, and it's nice because we know he's got another string to his bow.
And just finally from me, and Sam Vokes as well, we talked about a lot of young players, and Sam Vokes pops up with a goal tonight as well, first start for Gills as well.
Yeah, off his knee I think, wasn't it? So he had another couple of chances as well, so he's one of the ones that we're nursing along carefully. He's obviously had a little bit of a knock in pre-season coming back from that arm injury, so we just got to be careful with Vokesy because we can't overload him, and so far we've been able to play him for sort of 30 minutes off the bench. We're getting closer and closer to him having more match time and getting to a position where he might be able to start. So tonight was just building him up again and getting 45 minutes under his belt, which he's dealt with.